Hey guys, happy 2024, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, happy birthday, happy everything. It's great to be greeting you to be here with you both on the podcast and on the video. And 2024 will probably be an amazing year. I hope that this year is as good as 2023 it was for you, or in other words, let's hope that this year it's even better than our previous year. We gotta basically get ready and give it our best to achieve all our goals. And it's also a good time to also say thank you to those of you that are watching right now, those of you listening to the podcast, because it would have been around this time, 3 years ago, that I started the podcast, and slowly it's been growing, and this is thanks to you. So it's a chance, it's a good moment for me to reflect. Always around this time of the year, either at the beginning or towards the end of the previous year, it's always a good time to reflect, to look at what has been happening and what has happened. Last year was fantastic in terms of the podcast, all the different things, episodes I started with the video podcast, and again, lots of you have been giving me feedback, and it means a lot. So big thank you. Lots of episodes were recorded on the go, on the road. There may be some more of those this year, who knows? Maybe more interviews, and hopefully still quality content so that you can continue to tune in and also have a good time. And on this year, I think this is also around the time where we all have our New Year's resolutions. This was one of my New Year's resolutions, so I'm curious, what are some of your goals for 2024? Let me know down in the comments, or if you're listening, please stop the podcast, or maybe stop the podcast later and let me know, either by Instagram or email. Maybe this year is the year where you'll be getting the test if you are someone thinking of taking IELTS or PTE. And if that's you, I hope that we crush the exam this year. I say we because I'll be posting more content, more tips, more videos on how to get ready, how to prepare, how to practice. And of course, I'll also be hosting webinars. I'm actually building up a free guide, so if you want to get a copy of my free guide, let me know, drop me a comment, message me either on Instagram or email. And again, I think it'll be a big year, and it's hard to predict, but all I can say is that, I'm gonna go in and give my best. It is also a tough year in terms of all the changes that we have, because one of the big changes for international students, for people who want to stay in Australia or extend visas, is that now the bar has been raised. There is a chance that, I think it has changed already, that now students need 6.5 IELTS. Before it used to be 6, same thing with PT equivalent. So it's getting a little bit tougher. That's also part of the reason why I thought it would be good to put out more content out there, so that you can self-prepare, self-study, and then double check, get extra practice with me. And if you know anyone that may want to take these exams, that want to take his or her English to the next level, feel free to tell them a bit about me. This is how the podcast, the show, everything grows, and I'll pass it on, pay it back, and basically let people know about whatever you do. But coming back into today's episode, I think one last thing I should say is that also stay focused, because we're gonna hit the second or third week of January. And normally, it's not precisely now, but most of us would be really motivated with our goals, with the things we want to do. But then towards February, there is a bit of a decline, and we want to try to minimize that, and to stay consistent with all these things that we want to achieve this year. And I thought about, the exams, I thought about the new year, because, and this topic that I'm gonna mention, this puzzle that I've got behind me, it's an interesting topic, and lots of interesting analogies came to mind. And this really reminded me of language learning, taking exams, And part of the reason, or one of the biggest reasons, is because this took me so long. If you see this, when you see this behind me, you may be thinking, "Oh yeah, that's like a really cool puzzle," or I don't know. Maybe you think it that I did it so quickly, or maybe after you saw my post on Instagram, you may be thinking, "Oh yeah, that's so cool, the process." Da, da, da. But in reality, what I think nobody knows, and you're about to hear this, is that it took me so long. Easily, I think I'm falling short if I say 2 months. So I'm going to say anywhere between 2.5 to 3 months. And I needed help. And I'm gonna touch up on the help part in just a bit. It's funny because when you look at it, it looks really simple. And I think that's the tricky thing with any puzzle. So if you ever think of getting a puzzle or give someone a puzzle, keep in mind that just because the picture looks nice, it doesn't mean it's gonna be easy. Or it may look simple, but the way the puzzle is done and the way the pieces are cut and shaped make it extra difficult. And I remember I said, look, by the way, this is One Piece, in case you don't know, and it's a really good anime, one of my favorite, if not my favorite show. And then I said, look, I love this, I'm gonna finish it. I was super excited at the very beginning. It almost, as I said, this reminds me when someone says, I'm gonna go and pass IELTS, I'm gonna study, go like crazy, do this, do that. And then when they actually sit down after like the first 2 study sessions, it's like motivation fully drops. So for me, when I opened this up, I just looked at all the pieces in the floor, and a part of me is like, how am I gonna finish this? This is gonna take me so long. Then step 1 was to put the frame, which I had it wrong. So I had the bottom and the top part, I had it wrong twice, but at least, I basically put the frame together. And then after that, I started to slowly basically get all the pieces together. The tricky thing with the puzzle is that it takes a lot of space, and I basically had a quarter of the room, well, not a quarter, sorry, but I had a big part of my room where I'm recording now that I couldn't use, or that I would need to be very careful when I moved because I couldn't finish it. And the part of the analogy comes to, or like one of the things that comes with the analogy that I'm trying to say is that sometimes we start really motivated, we are ready to do something, but then we drag it, we let it go, we wait and we wait and we wait. And I would say, look, maybe I'm just gonna do 5 minutes, I'm gonna do 10 minutes. But then a part of me is like, I need to do the podcast, I need to study, I need to do these other things, right? And I would see it there, but not do much and then ignore it. And despite enjoying all the time I spent with the puzzle, sometimes it was a bit overwhelming, thinking, oh my God, there is so much more to go. And then I was really pumped towards Christmas, end of the year, basically, because I said, I need to finish this and I need to finish it before the end of the year. I went like crazy sometimes, sitting for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes at the time. It was also a really good balance because what I was doing is I would study for half an hour or 40 minutes, and then I do 20 minutes to 30 minutes of puzzle, and then I'm swapping between the two. And it's a good way to sort of stay efficient for a good, solid 2-hour study session. Well, it's actually a little bit more than 2 hours. But the point is that towards the end of the year, a part of me is like, oh, I need to finish this now. I cannot basically receive 2024 with the puzzle not finished. And then I had to let my ego away. I need to put my ego aside. My brother loves, I didn't know this, but he loves to basically put puzzles together. So one day he came to my place and he's like, oh, maybe I can help you. And I was so frustrated because I had probably, I don't know, I'm gonna go and be nice to me. I had about a third, maybe a little bit over a third of the puzzle. And then I said, you know what? Yeah, let's just do it. Help me. And after like 10 minutes, he would put some pieces together. And then obviously, you've got 2 brains, 4 hands. Then slowly, I mean, it ramped up so much. And I said, no, man, maybe I need help. And that way I can get faster to that goal that I've got. And it goes and links to test preparation, because sometimes maybe that could happen with any goal, any challenge, any task. Like in this case, let's say taking IELTS, taking PT. Sometimes even with all the information that there is on the internet, you just get information overwhelmed, or you're like so much things, lots of people saying different things, and then you don't know what to do. And then it's tricky because it's like, okay, what's the next step? Does this piece goes here? Should I put this here? Should I put this other thing there? Right? And sometimes again we have the dragging element, as I said earlier. But letting myself or just basically receiving help or being open to receive help was such a big jump. And again, I think this reminds me when people come to me and say, look, Emilio, I've tried it 2 or 3 times. I know all the tricks and I don't know what else to do. And, funny enough, there are things to either improve or things we can work on. So I thought it's crazy because maybe the test preparation process could be like a puzzle. Sometimes, obviously, the difference is that with the exam, because it is all set, obviously there are certain things we can do, right? I was so desperate, and this is just around the time when I said, yeah, just help me, that I even put on Google in Japanese just to practice Japanese, fast ways or tips and tricks to finish a puzzle quickly. And, to my surprise, the answer was like, or most of the posts were like, oh, just spend about an hour at a time, or there are no tricks, just take time and do it. And was something that really hit me was a comment that said, well, usually the 1,000-piece puzzle, because by the way, this puzzle is 1,000 pieces. Just so watch out, listen carefully before you go and you buy a 1,000-piece puzzle for you or for someone else. It usually takes anywhere between, I think it was 6 to 12 hours. Oh my God, guys. A part of me thought 6 more hours of this. I mean, it could be more, but let's just keep it at 6. Oh my goodness. And then I said, look, there is nothing else I can do. I just have to stop avoiding it and I just have to go and work on it. And this is where this reminds me of some of my PT students or IELTS students, because there are times where obviously there are things we can do, but the best thing we can do, the best shortcut we can put in practice is just to do those things. There are times where I tell students, look, just listen to this audiobook or just practice this way and just do this a few times. A few times is like not once or twice, it's 5 to 6 times to 10 times, or you need to get reading practice. Oh, how much should I read? Well, you should read as much as you can, or like at least half an hour every day. And it's interesting because sometimes a part of me feels bad. I'm just telling them, look guys, I'm really sorry. I wish there is a trick or there is something. Oh yeah, but I know these tricks in PT. Well, yes, but that's not enough. So sometimes we need to go back, or we just need to basically go at the task that we have to do and basically be patient, work on it. Or in this case for us, it could be study, or it could be train, it could be to stretch, or whatever it is. And then, to our surprise, the more time we put into it, then the more it will basically, the better we will get, right? The last thing that I thought was really interesting, and this relates to both practice and you can apply this analogy to almost anything, is that after spending so much time looking at the pieces, there was a time, probably when I had about 3/4 of the puzzle complete, that just by looking at the pieces, and I remember my brother told me this, he goes to me and says, look, don't worry, because we're gonna get to a point where we will know where everything goes. And I was like pulling my hair, going crazy, like, why are we doing this? Or I just want to, or I was also telling myself, what if a piece is lost? What are we gonna do? Luckily that didn't happen. Quick spoiler. But then this is interesting because just the same way that you get to see the pieces so much, then it got to a point where somehow I felt almost like a robot. It's like I would be looking at the puzzle and, well, I mean, not without looking, but it would be just me like, oh, this goes here, this goes here, this goes here, just put this one over here. And it was so much faster, or way faster than expected. And this is also something that could happen with test preparation, for example. Because you practice, or you get so much listening or so much speaking practice that then when you go to the speaking interview, boom, you smash the interview. But it's not just because it was luck, it's because you have had so much practice. Similarly, with PT, it's not like you just go and you just get 90 just because. It's because you have put in so many drills, so much practice that it piles up and it improves your skills. And as a quick example, lots of people get really nervous with repeat sentence. You get a lot of practice with repeat sentence, you work on your fluency, on your vocabulary, and then boom, without even noticing, you start seeing lots of improvement. And that's, again, something that I thought, this is crazy. I think we would learn so much from, basically, I'm going to go very deep. You learn so much from life just by doing a puzzle. So that could be a New Year's resolution. Doing, I would say, that 1,000 piece puzzle could take some time. So maybe you can build your way up, or just be patient. And I think that's another thing that I thought of. That really got me thinking is the fact that with a 1,000 piece puzzle, you really sometimes need to test your patience. Similar to what could happen on a test, or as some of you may be following the podcast, when I used to do long races in bicycle or in triathlon with cycling, that sometimes would happen. And actually I just had a bike ride not long ago, about 10 days ago. And obviously I was quite tired after, I don't know, like an hour and 10, 15 minutes. But, looking back, it's also patience, because you got to build up to all those challenges, to all those things that you want to do. So I hope that, these analogies, these examples of the puzzle do help you. And again, think about it twice before you get a 1,000 piece puzzle, or ultimately, you could just go crazy, go for the challenge, and maybe get a bigger puzzle, a 2,000 piece, 3,000 piece, 4,000 piece puzzle. Actually, my brother found one that was 6,000 pieces. I think that's like maybe, I don't know, I'm not really good with measurements, but let's just say, I think it's something like almost 2 meters and then, 2 meters long and then 1.4 meters high. So that's crazy big. That could be a wall on your house. So let me know if if you would be interested in pushing yourself to the challenge of having or basically, completing a puzzle. There were also times where you also learn about not just yourself. Obviously, you learn about yourself, but you learn about patience and what I was gonna say is self-control, because there is nothing more frustrating than just staring at the puzzle, and then I would put a piece and it doesn't fit, and I just want to sometimes just press super hard and be like, okay, you go here, and then break the piece a little bit. But now, in all seriousness, it was an amazing experience, and it's also pretty cool because now I think I've got a better background. What do you think? I'm always trying to improve the setup, so slowly we are getting some of the lights at the back, and also this one right here. I think it looks pretty cool. Let me know what you think, and it's always all about improving, but it's also quite cool, quite motivating having these guys here. And who knows, this could also be a reminder for you to maybe spoil yourself getting something that you enjoy, that you like, because then that way when you go to work or when you go to do some of those things that you enjoy, it's like, oh, boom, look at that, how cool. And it could, maybe make your work setup, your gaming setup, your study setup, your house, your room, much nicer. And look, with all this said, this year is gonna bring lots of cool things. We gotta continue pushing hard. And let me know in the comments, since the year is beginning, or since we're at the beginning of the year, let me know if there are some topics you would like to hear. Again, you can do that either via Instagram, you can also do it here on YouTube. And I'm really pumped because I've got an interview coming up that I think is very interesting. And it is especially interesting for anyone that wants to get the PR in Australia. That's all I'm gonna say, just to build up the interest. And as always, thank you so much for being with me, because you could be just relaxing at home, you could also be driving, you could be on your commute, who knows? I was part of your day, you were part of my day, and for some of you, you've been part of my day for we have been part of each other's day, let's put it that way, for a very long time. So thank you for also sharing the podcast, for telling people about this. Sometimes it's crazy that I get people just telling me, oh, I've been learning English with your podcast, and I'm super, super humbled by that. Thank you so much. And well, with all that said, let's go ahead, crush this year, get the best from it. And until then, I'll see you on the next episode. Take care and bye for now. Boom.